Here in America, SUVs are the king of sales, and for the longest time, Kia had one of the smallest SUV lineups to choose from, starting with the original Sportage back in the 1990s and expanding to the mid-size Sorento a few years later. Now, thankfully, Kia added the hot-selling Telluride to the lineup last year, which internally, Kia likes to call the Telluride the Celluride because it has been one hot-selling car where dealers can't keep enough of them in stock, which is why I'm out here in San Antonio, Texas with an all-new baby entry into the lineup. Meet the 2021 Kia Seltos. It's based on the same underpinnings as the Hyundai Kona. It is available, of course, with all-wheel drive, a turbocharged engine, and it has a look that really stands out in the always growing subcompact SUV segment. So the big question I want to answer, with this Celluride taking up the spotlight in Kia's lineup, has the company managed to capture that same swag from its big brother in the Seltos? That's what we're here to find out. So Kia has been in desperate need of a smaller SUV like the Seltos for years, and when the company first unveiled this vehicle in LA last November, I was pretty blown away with the design. Just like the big brother Telluride, it has a certain swag to it. It has more like a Land Rover Range Rover look to it, whereas the Telluride looks like a Big Daddy Range Rover. This kind of reminds me of the Evoque. Now, of course, it has the traditional Kia styling elements here with some new details. The Tiger Nose grille, of course, is very prominent at the front fascia. You have these diamond patterns here in the upper and lower portion. This star bright yellow color also is unique to the SX trim that I'm showing you here, and it really pops in the sunlight. In fact, sometimes it kind of looks a little bit more like a green color, but I have to say it looks really good, especially with the contrast black roof that you get, which is optional on the SX trim. Now, looking over here at the headlights, you can see this SX trim here has full LED headlights. You'll have LED low and high beams, an LED turn signal, and LED daytime running lights, and LED fog lights. This is the only trim to get LED headlights. If you guys are looking for the lower trims, like that S model over there, you'll have a halogen projector headlight for the low and high beams and for the fog lights, but Kia will at least throw in the LED daytime running lights if you guys go for the base trim of this model. Now, looking at the rest of the profile of the Seltos, you can see that Kia also made this car look very attractive, from the two-tone roof to the way the wheels look. I especially like the wheels on this SX trim. They're an 18-inch design wrapped in 235 width tires. They're about 20 millimeters wider than some of the competition, more specifically the new Mazda CX-30, which has much narrower tires. Kia also likes to point out the fact that they put a red center cap in here to kind of break up the machine look and the gray look of the wheel. It just looks very distinctive, so it doesn't have kind of that boring look that you find in a lot of the other vehicles in this segment. Now, in terms of the overall length, the Seltos is about 5 inches longer than the Soul, but about 4 inches shorter than the Sportage. So this is right smack in the middle of the subcompact segment. At 172 inches long, this is a little bit longer than something like the HR-V, but about the same size as the Subaru Crosstrek and the Mazda CX-30. Now, as you can see at the back of this vehicle, it also has some pretty distinctive styling elements. And if you guys go for the S trims and up, Kia will throw in full LED taillights, which is definitely a nice addition. You don't have to go for this top trim to get that premium touch. I don't particularly like the fact that Kia has gone with the whole fake exhaust thing here, where it kind of looks like an exhaust in the rear bumper, but like every other SUV, the rear bumper, and there's also some cladding here. This car has roughly around 7.3 inches of ground clearance. And if you guys go for the all-wheel drive trims like this one, you'll get a fully independent rear suspension, which is also a nice addition. Now, I was expecting Kia to also throw in a power liftgate, but it's not available. Most vehicles in the segment don't offer that feature, but it actually has a surprisingly good amount of cargo space. The HR-V has always been the class leader for me because it's based on the Honda Fit, but Kia says you get around 26 cubic feet of space back here with the second row seats up. If you fold everything down, you get around 63 cubic feet of space. Now, that number is actually about 9 cubic feet more than what you get in the HR-V, which has those fancy magic seats that fold completely flat. This car also has that same feature, and you can also adjust the load floor in here to two different heights. And then underneath here, you can see Kia also gives you a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. So obviously, Kia really knocked it out of the park on the outside of the Seltos, but what about the interior? Now, first getting inside and shutting the door, it has a really solid thunk to it. So again, really impressive impression of quality that you get with this all-new Seltos. Now, here's the key fob for the vehicle. Just like the Stinger, it has this really unique looking key fob that looks like a detonator, and it also includes remote start on the actual fob here, which is a new addition. I haven't seen it on this fob, but you guys know how to start a vehicle like this. Just put your foot on the brake and push the button here to fire up the engine. Now, this SX trim that I'm showing you is the most expensive trim. It also has the most tech. As you can see here, it's got a massive 10.25 inch touchscreen display here. This is the Uvo infotainment system. As you can see, this is the only trim to get the bigger 10.5-inch display. All the other ones will come standard with an 8-inch display. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is going to be standard at least. Now, in terms of the rest of this materials in here, the Seltos looks very premium, which is nice, but when you start touching around the materials here, it actually has a hard touch plastic material here on this upper portion. It is soft touch over here where it has more of that fake stitching. And then on the door panels here, it's actually a hard touch plastic material, which is a little disappointing, but on the lower portion here, you have a padded armrest here, this nice little grab handle, and then the windows are one touch up and down for only the driver window. I was hoping Kia would also make it for the passenger side window as well. And then this SX trim also includes these leather seats, which are just heated with 3 levels. I have an 8-way power on this side here, no memory seats. Kia also does not offer cooled seats, so keep that in mind. This is supposed to be just an entry-level car. Now, the steering wheel, as you can see, is the same steering wheel that we get on the Forte. It also has a tilt and telescoping feature. No heated steering wheel. I imagine some markets may offer that because I'm seeing some blank buttons over here. This SX also includes this 7-inch Supervision LCD display in between the analog tachometer and speedometer. And overall, it's a very nice environment in here. I really like the way it feels. It feels more upscale. There is an area here where it looks like Kia may offer a heads-up display at some point because there's like a little separate area here where they could replace it with that. I'm imagining some other markets may offer that feature. Now, coming over here to the head unit, as you can see, this is the latest version of the Kia Uvo system. I like that it's kind of like a widescreen. You can actually change the mood lighting in here for the Bose audio system. This car is the first Kia to get a Bose audio system, a Bose premium audio system, and just like the Soul, it'll beat and pulse to the music of whatever you guys, have this, whatever you're jamming to, which is a really nice addition. Keep that in mind. It's only on the SX trim. Now, going back to the home display here, I want to show you guys the Apple CarPlay. As you can see with the Apple CarPlay, it's nice how they give it you kind of like a split screen, but I would have preferred if Kia gave me the option to get rid of that. It looks like I can't do that. So I can't actually make this the full widescreen for Apple CarPlay where you're gonna have this little split screen over here. But it's nice the fact that you get this. The screen, as you can see, is very crystal clear. It's very snappy, it's very responsive. Kia does some of the best infotainment systems in the business. As you can see there, going to your radio displays, if you want to go back to that, here's the presets. It's all here on the left. You can, assign as many presets as you want. Everything here is pretty similar to all the modern Kias that you've seen, but with a much brighter and larger crystal clear display. This is one of the best ones in the subcompact segment, so I really like that. As you can see down here, there's automatic climate control. Kia looks like they only give you a single zone. Some competitors do a dual zone. There's also a wireless phone charging pad over here. There's 2 USB ports, a power outlet over there, a little bit more storage over here. And then down here, this is your drive mode selector. Kia offers a choice between normal, sport, and a smart mode, which we'll go into the driving modes later on in the test drive. This controls the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. It includes a manual shift mode and a sport mode over there. No paddles on the wheel, and then when you put the car into reverse, you can see Kia gives you a nice backup camera with distance markers and trajectory and rear cross traffic alert. Kia does not offer a full 360 on this car, which isn't really needed. The car is very small. After all, you can see there's lots of other buttons over here for your 3-level heated seats, downhill assist control, and you can also lock the all-wheel drive system because it does include things like torque vectoring, which is unexpected in this particular segment. Down here you have an electronic parking brake with an auto hold, a little bit more storage over here, and then this center console over here slides forward and back. You have a nice padded area here, and there's a good amount of storage as well in there. Now above me, there is no sunroof on this particular one because Kia does not offer a sunroof with the SX trim if you guys go for the 2-tone roof right now. It's $700 extra if you guys have just the standard color, but Kia says they will look into adding that later. They're dealing with production restraints right now, so that's why they don't offer that. The glove compartment, as you can see, is a pretty good size. It's a little bit small, but it's damped, but it's not lined with felt. So overall, this interior feels roomy, has lots of tech in it, and it also introduces some new features like the new Bose audio system, which is a first ever for a Kia branded vehicle. Now, when you look at the back seat space in this particular segment, usually manufacturers have very small back seats, but that is not the case, as you can see with the new Seltos. The company says that you have roughly around 38 inches of overall legroom back here, which is actually an inch less than something like the Honda HR-V. But I have to say, this feels pretty roomy. This is where I have the seat to drive. I'm 5'7". I have a good amount of headroom over here, good leg space. The floor here is not completely flat, but I like the fact that on the S and SX trims, Kia gives you the rear seat air vents along with a power outlet over here, a little bit more storage. You get one little mat pocket here on the passenger side. And then the seats also have a nice little armrest between the two with some cup holders. And if you'd like, you can also recline the seat back a little bit more, although when it's fully reclined, it's a little bit too reclined for my taste. So overall, materials quality back here, hard touch plastic, which is what I expected, but it is a very usable back seat, one of the roomiest in the subcompact SUV segment. In terms of safety tech, the Seltos is available with all of the modern active safety suites that you can get on its competitors. However, it should be noted that if you want features like adaptive cruise control with full stop and go and bicycle detection, you need to go for this top SX trim. As you can see over here, the radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control is kind of flushly mounted underneath the grille, and then you can also find some of the cameras in the windshield. Unlike the competitors, if you guys go for a base model of the Seltos, it will have automatic emergency braking, but if you want everything, including like blind spot detection, you need to move up to the EX trim and then go to this trim if you want adaptive cruise control. Now, under the hood of the all-new Seltos, unlike most of the competition, Kia actually gives you a choice of engines here, and you can even get a turbocharged engine. Most of the competitors come with naturally aspirated 4 cylinders with a CVT. Now, don't get me wrong, Kia will sell you that if you want a base trim, which the base engine is the 2-liter 4-cylinder that runs on the Atkinson cycle. It makes 146 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. You guys know that engine in the Kia Forte. It's paired with their intelligent variable transmission, which is a CVT. It's actually one of the best CVTs on the market. Very responsive, very smooth, and it gets very good gas mileage, 29 in the city, 34 on the highway. You can take your pick between either front drive or all-wheel drive on that specific trim. Now, of course, if you guys go for the S trims and up, you'll get a 1.6-liter turbo version. Now, on the S trim, the turbo is optional. It's like $1,500 extra. Standard on this SX, it makes 175 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque. That makes it one of the most torque-rich engines in the segment, and Kia also gets rid of that CVT and instead replaces it with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. All-wheel drive is going to be standard if you guys go for the turbo engine. Now, I'm going to be spending most of my time driving the turbo models. This one here, fuel economy is rated at 25 in the city, 30 on the highway, so still relatively good numbers. Regular gas is recommended for both the non-turbo and this turbocharged engine. As this one sits, it weighs around 3,300 pounds, so this is a good 300 pounds heavier than something like the Kia Soul. But you guys are probably curious. Let's get this out on the road and see how it performs.
I'll suck my stomach in for this too.
All right, so we're back here in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm back here again with Alex from Alex on Autos, and we just finished taking some rather silly photos for his Instagram account, so be sure to check out Alex's Instagram, yes. Alex on Autos, because he always posts these really funny Alex After Dark photos. Yes. But this new Kia Seltos, Alex, I've been really excited to drive it. What about you?
I've been eager to see what it's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's got the 1.6 turbo. This one's all-wheel drive. It's got that fully independent suspension. I'm going to put it into sport mode here,
but not 201 horsepower like we have in the Soul.
No, not 201 horsepower, but I have to say, this is pretty quick.
It is. I like the feel. It feels peppier than I thought it would for 175.
Yeah. But like we've got 195 pound-feet of torque, and this is a lot of low-end torque. We've got a dual clutch transmission, which is nice because most vehicles in this segment have an awful CVT.
Yeah, I mean, and now this is like way faster than the Buick. Like
yes.
In the premium segment.
Yeah.
This isn't premium.
Well, this car feels like it's in between. Like it's like saddling a premium and a non-premium brand, but there's nobody behind me. I want to try doing it from a stop here.
Before you do that, can you see if you can move your microphone to your right so Alex can get better of a...
Okay, like right here?
Closer to Alex.
There's better?
Yeah. Or else he's going to sound...
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll talk louder. I'll talk at Sophian's boob. Yeah, right. Sophian.
All right, so let's turn off the traction control. Let's try a little launch here.
Okay.
It doesn't really rev it up much.
No, the DCT. Get that clutch feel there at the beginning and then, whoa. Yeah. Well, they're always a little... Most DCT cars are a little gentle on the clutch because they don't want to wear the clutch out.
Yeah.
So you get that you don't have that same torque converter.
But you know what? This thing feels like it gets to 60 in the 7-second range. Like it's fast for the segment. Like this is
surprised.
This is quicker than the Mazda CX-30.
Oh yeah.
Way quicker than the Subaru Crosstrek. Way quicker than the HR-V, which for me has the worst powertrain in the segment.
And I was a little surprised by the CX-30 because it has technically more power than this. But it has that old 6-speed and it's kind of heavy.
Right. Well, it's a naturally aspirated engine, and it's such an old engine that we've seen for a while. Now, this engine itself also is kind of old, but it's a turbo, and it's got a really great dual clutch. Actually, Hyundai and Kia have really been addressing this dual clutch, because when it first came out, I called it the eco transmission. It was pretty bad. Like now it's not, you know, like Volkswagen DSG, but it's not as bad as, you know, Ford Power Shift, which was horrible. It's kind of like slowly getting more refined. I mean, when I put my foot down, it's does a pretty good job of responding and just getting it up in the power band. And this thing is relatively sporty to drive as well. I mean, I love the way it looks on the outside for me. This car looks better than the Soul. Like it has a certain swag about it that I just really like, and it feels premium. And I also, so you haven't driven it yet, but we'll swap later on, but it actually handles pretty well. It's a little softer than I expected it to be, considering, you know, the wheels and how it looks and like the low profile tires, but
wide tires for the second too, 235.
235s, right? And maybe that's probably attributing to the road noise we're hearing here. And also the roads here around San Antonio, they're very choppy, very bumpy, but this is one impressive car for sure. It's probably my new favorite for subcompact SUVs, so you'll have to tell me what you think in your video, which by the way, if you guys do want to see Alex's video, be sure to visit his channel, Alex on Autos. But everything else, I think the seats are pretty comfortable. The visibility in here is good. This car, you know, I think it's going to do a really good job at attracting or switching people over from the Soul. Like people who are looking at a Soul, they're going to go to the Kia dealer. The sales guy's literally going to say, look at this Seltos. It's got more ground clearance. It comes standard with all-wheel drive on the base trim.
Right.
You can get the same. If you want to
save money, get the Soul.
Right.
If you want all-wheel drive, then get this. But oddly enough, if you want 0 to 60, then you should Soul Turbo or Soul EV, because you do get more power in the Soul Turbo.
You do, because I think this is heavier. This is like 3,300 pounds I saw, which is maybe 200 pounds heavier than the Soul. So again, you're going to pay more in weight and, you know, fuel economy by going with the SUV. But I have to say, I usually hate this segment of car, but Kia has built one really impressive and tempting option. And usually I would tell people, spend a little more and get, you know, the bigger compact SUV. But I think this car is has a little more personality than the Sportage, which the Sportage is getting old. Kia's about to show the new Sorento in Geneva next month. So really the Seltos is really charming.
Yeah, it's like, it kind of reminds me in a way of when the Buick Encore first launched ages and ages ago, because it was that premium alternative to the bigger crossover. So like if you didn't want a RAV4, you were looking for something a little easier to park, but you wanted a more premium feel, you could get the Encore, and that's why it sold really well in that segment for so long. But I think this beats the Encore in a lot of ways. Yeah. You get way more power. Not too far off on the fuel economy. And those have a 3-cylinder turbo and the CVT, so it's not as smooth as this combination. And I think the interior here, I mean, there are some plastics that are not quite as premium as the Buick, but I think overall the look and the design feels more sporty and more luxurious than that Buick. Yeah, no, I was never a fan of the I was never a fan of the Encore. I just thought it looked like an egg. Not really my cup of tea. Not really my cup of tea. All right, so let's try one more 0 to 60. I'm not going to brake torque it, but I am going to turn off the auto start stop, which I actually didn't realize. We have a button to lock the center coupling, which is weird. Well, not weird, but I mean, it's
unexpected,
right? Most of them don't allow you to do that.
Yeah, so here, I've been in smart mode. Let's go to sport.
Ooh.
There's no paddles on the wheel though. I kind of think that Kia should have done that, but you can do a manual mode here. But let's just floor it from a stop. Let's see.
It has a good sound and good feel to it overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bumpy on this right here, but yeah, it's
whoa, got air.
We got a little air there. but I mean, this thing is fast. So if you're looking for one of the quickest in the segment, the Seltos has your name all over it, because Kia and Hyundai have really been killing it with the powertrains. I mean, even though it has less horsepower than the one in the Soul, it doesn't feel that much slower to me. It really doesn't. Good steering feel, good transmission. A little bumpy ride on this little. We got a little air. Sorry, Kia. So just like the big brother Telluride, Kia has managed to build a subcompact SUV that feels slightly more upscale and premium versus most of the mainstream competition. Really, the Seltos, the new Seltos, for me, is probably my new favorite in terms of the subcompact SUV segment, simply because Kia offers a choice between a naturally aspirated engine or that lovely turbo engine with that dual clutch transmission. I love the design of this thing, especially if you guys go for the SX trim in this star bright yellow exterior color. And unlike the Kona, which is a little bit smaller but based on the same platform as the Seltos, this is a little bit bigger on the outside, which means it's also a little bit bigger on the inside. It actually has more space on the inside to me versus the Honda HR-V, which has always been the space leader in the segment, but always didn't have the powertrain that I liked. Really, in terms of the competition, the Subaru Crosstrek is the best selling, along with the Jeep Renegade. I think Kia definitely has a new hot entry in the segment that I think a lot of people are going going to pick. I think a lot of people are also going to choose this over the Soul because it's kind of like a little bit larger, but it has that SUV higher seating position and the availability of all-wheel drive, which is something you can't get on the Soul. So if you're looking to buy the all-new 2021 Kia Seltos, what's it going to cost? Well, this car is already on sale right now, and Kia has a starting price of $21,990 for the base LX model. Now, the LX model actually comes standard with all-wheel drive, and then there's essentially two base versions for just under $22,000. You can also go to the S trim, which has a little bit more technology on the inside, a little bit more upscale features on the outside for the same price. However, Kia downgrades you to front-wheel drive for the same price. All-wheel drive is about $1,500 extra on the S trim if you guys want to add that. Now, Kia says they made the vehicle like that because they didn't want this car to cannibalize on Soul sales, because the Soul, as you guys know, starts at under $18,000. So this is about $4,000 more than a Soul, but also a couple $1,000s less expensive than the Kia Sportage. Now, this particular one here is the fully loaded SX trim, which isn't as expensive as you think. Kia says their volume seller will probably be the $25,000 EX trim, which includes most of the safety and tech features that people want. But this one here, as it sits with the two-tone roof, plus destination, is around $29,500. Add about $700 more if you guys want to add in a sunroof, which you cannot get with the two-tone roof option, which will essentially drop the price by about $400 compared to this one. Now, compared to the competition, this is right around the same price, and Honda HR-V will probably cost the same amount of money. The Mazda CX-30, which I just drove, is right around the same money, but I would argue that these have a little bit more of a more premium feel when you look at the overall look, especially with that turbo engine, and I also like the dual clutch and just the interior design and the space. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Kia Seltos. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and of course, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.